Win big with new DRF All Access past performances. With one best-in-class product, you now get all three past performance formats. Go to DRF.com and use coupon code 1FREEPP for a free single card today.
Hi, everybody. Dan Illman, Ashley Mailloux, taking a look at the first leg of the Dollar Pick 6 at Santa Anita on Saturday. Race number 5 is the Grade 3 Robert B. Lewis. We're going a mile on the main track. It's a race for 3-year-olds. It's a race considered a Kentucky Derby prep. But as we take a look at this field, there are 3 Bob Baffert train runners, which could affect the distribution of Kentucky Derby qualifying points. Nisos could be any kind.
He certainly could. He's been very, very impressive so far in what we've seen in those 2 starts. And, he had a little bit to prove after such an important and impressive debut. And I think he certainly did that last time out in the Bob Hope. But a couple of others, I think, raced very well in their recent starts as well. So to me, on paper, Nisos is the horse to beat. But if you're looking at the minors, there are a lot of live runners here.
I think we're very promising 3-year-olds in Southern California right now. We throw up the Timeform US pace projector. You have to figure Nisos is going to be a little bit closer to the pace, maybe than where the pace projector has him. He is stretching out off of 2 sprints, but Stronghold, the 7, has some speed. So does the 9 Scatify. This could very well be a jockey's race. I wouldn't be surprised if Wind Me Up is hustled out of there from the rail.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised as well. When I see this, Scatify, he went pretty fast in his debut, and I think he's a little bit of a wild card. You don't really know what you're getting. It was an impressive debut, but now he's got to kind of step up here, going from the 6 furlongs to the mile distance. But he has the outside draw. I think he's going to be forwardly placed, and I agree with what you said about the others as well.
Wind Me Up is one of the 3 Baffert train runners. He exits a 4th place finish in the Los Alamitos Futurity. He's shown some potential in his career. He was second to stablemate Muth in the American Pharaoh. It was a little bit too much too soon, I thought, in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile, but he does have tactical speed and an experience edge over several of these.
He does, and I think he's sneaky because you may look at some of his races and say, well, he's not really impressive in his last couple, but it's Bob Baffert. There has to be a reason that he's coming into this spot. They must think that at least he's capable of running against this group. And to me, Dan, he's one that I'm, a little fearful to maybe leave out. I'm also fearful of using him as well, just because obviously we know how good Nisos is and a couple others on the outside.
The 2 is Ace of Clubs. He's one of 2 multiple race winners in this field, although both of his wins came against weaker competition. He pushed the pace in the Los Alamitos Futurity, and then he tired. Maybe that long stretch worked against him a little bit, but he's going to have to take several steps forward against this tough group.
I agree. In terms of what he's been able to do against stakes competition, I think the Zuma Beach is maybe his best effort, and we're talking about turf. He really hasn't been able to show that, and I get it. In terms of stakes level, he only has that 1 start on the dirt against stakes level competition. I just don't know, in terms of what we've seen so far, if you can really make a case for him against this field.
Better Than Gold in number 3 was no match for Nisos, but it was Better Than Gold's career debut, going 3/4 of a mile, and maybe he's just more effective at longer distances. Here's his second start. They stretched him out around 2 turns, and he has a lot of work to do at the 3/16 pole, Ashley, but he comes with a really determined run to best 2 next out winners.
Yeah, I thought this was a really nice performance. On debut, he didn't take a lot of love. He didn't run very well. You mentioned maybe it was part of the going short or going 3/4 of a mile, but he's going to gobble up the ground here in the late stages, gets the job done. I think he takes the right step forward. He'll need to do that once again, but I thought it was a nice run.
Moonlit Sonata is the number 4. Now, he did win his career debut going 6.5 furlongs, and he caught a toughie in Muth the second time out in the San Vicente. So I really don't want to hold that race too much against him, and I actually don't mind him stretching out off of 2 sprints. I think the 2-turn mile will work for him.
I think so too. It's hard to say, last time out, would have you liked to seen a little bit better of a run? Sure, he only beat 1 horse, but at the end of the day, I do like that he was able to score on debut. He was very much an underdog in there, 33-1, and he had to circle most of the field to get that job done. You just wonder though, going 6.5, did the pace really help him in that? I have to think so. And just because he's stretching out and maybe the pace will be fairly good here, doesn't necessarily mean he's going to be able to do it. But I do think he's a horse that probably wants to go longer. I just don't know against this group if the pace is going to help him.
Baffert historically does well when tinkering with equipment changes with his 3-year-olds. He's going to remove the blinkers with the 5 Coach Prime, a $1.7 million yearling purchase, who graduated second time out going a mile at Del Mar. Last time out in the Los Alamitos Futurity, only beaten a length. He did have to go wide turning into the stretch. I think he's still learning, and I think distance is his friend.
I think so too. And obviously, he's a horse that he looked very live going into the Los Al Futurity, and he gets beat. But who does he get beat by? A stablemate. And maybe I don't want to say the other Baffert. It was the other Baffert, a big price in there by the name of Winstock. So to me, I actually like what we've seen from him so far. And I think when you start to look at this field, he's going to have to face his stablemate directly to his outside. But he has not done anything wrong so far.
Speaking of not doing anything wrong, Nisos has not taken a wrong step in 2 blowout starts. Look how he wins the Grade 3 Bob Hope last time out, going 7/8. I know it's only a 4-horse field. I know he's an odds-on favorite that's supposed to win, but he wins in the manner of just a morning breeze. He never took a deep breath.
He didn't. And you know what? He wasn't on top at kind of the first call out of the gate, which is what we saw from debut. And you see that and you see the big margin of that maiden score first asking. You go, okay. But I like that he showed something different and he still decimated his competition. You said, yes, it's a short field, but when you win that easy, your numbers stay consistently in the upper 90s. I mean, he is simply the horse to beat.
Absolutely. And this is a horse who has to stretch out around 2 turns for the first time, but on the face of it, his pedigree indicates that a mile should be well within his scope. Strong Hold is the number 7, never off the board from 4 lifetime starts. Good effort in the Los Alamitos Futurity last time out behind Winstock, who we're going to see at Oaklawn Park on Saturday in the Southwest. I thought Stronghold was very game, and I like that Phil D'Amato's putting the blinkers on here, maybe to get this horse to focus a little better.
I thought he was really game to lose in that sort of effort. I think the long stretch maybe at Los Al did hurt him in there, but obviously, Winstock was just a tad better, and really, he's another one. I like him. I like his running style. I like that he's tactical. He likes to be forwardly placed, and to me, the most recent effort actually stamped him as a real deal sort of horse, where you can kind of see the potential, and I agree. I think the equipment change might be key here.
He finished ahead of 3 of these common foes in the Los Alamitos Futurity, but no match for Nisos when they met in the Bob Hope. And McVeigh is interesting. I wonder if it's a little bit too much too soon, but John Sheriffs is generally a very conservative horseman. I think it's a good sign that this $1.25 million yearling purchase is running as a third out maiden in the Robert B. Lewis. And I like him stretching out as well. He ran into another talented Baffert Freak, second time out sprinting, going 6.5 furlongs. And I like that he showed a little bit more interest early in that race.
You said freak. I would have said monster. Same sort of deal. I mean, the winner of that race was extremely impressive and got a big figure for that race as well. But I have reservations. I have reservations. Second off, the barn doesn't have the best stat. I wonder if he's going to need a couple of more races, and maybe he's a developing type. And obviously, they have confidence in him to put him in this spot. I just find it hard to endorse a maiden like him. Maybe you can, look at that last race and say, okay, well, he got beat by a monster, so maybe it's better than it appears on paper, but I just don't know against others in here.
And he might be facing another potential monster in Nisos on Saturday. Scatify, I like this debut effort at Los Alamitos for West Point Thoroughbreds and John Sadler. He beat a next out winner, and he was very game in doing so. He was tactical. He stayed pretty professional for the most part. And when he makes the lead, this horse on the inside is going to give him a tussle, but he refuses to lose.
No, this was a really good debut. He didn't take a lot of love on the tote board. I don't know necessarily John Sadler firsters if they're always ready to roll on debut, but he certainly was. And he actually, when you think about it in terms of purchase prices, he was a modest 120 compared to some others we've seen, especially of this 3-year-old season. You see the big purchase prices. I think he did everything right. This is just going to get a test for class again. He's going to have to stretch out in distance, and it's just a new track for him, where others, when you talk about Santa Anita, at least they have a start or two over that track.
Maybe he'll be hustled out of there from the far outside post to try to get early position. Let's take a look at our top picks. We're kicking off the dollar pick 6 at Santa Anita. I think a lot of folks are going to single Nisos. That's how impressive he's looked in both lifetime starts. The sky's the limit with this guy.
Yeah, we got really creative here, Dan, with our selections. I mean, I can't bet against him. I don't know if I would necessarily bet this race, though, as well, just because he is going to be such a short price. But he does look like the horse to beat on paper. I think for me, yes, you want to see if he can do what he's done so far once again and be that impressive. But I'm probably most interested to see how Coach Prime runs. I think he's sort of a horse that's developing, as you mentioned, a little bit of greenness, still figuring it out. And it's all about getting good at the right time. We talk about this when you start thinking about the 3-year-old season. You could be great right now, but you have to be excellent on that first weekend in May. So maybe he's going to put it all together, and we'll slowly see him kind of turn the corner.
We'll see if Nisos can make it 3 for 3. His first start around 2 turns comes Saturday in the Robert B. Lewis.